Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Happy Monday to everybody out there. We're kicking off hour number 3 and 4 of broadcasting today on LFA TV. I filled in for Jeremy Harrell, no relation, earlier today. So we're going to continue with our conversation, but we're going to kind of dive into the nuts and bolts of the Iran deal. What exactly is going on? The United States Treasury issuing a license to Iran today to once again begin selling their oil on the open market. That is not going to make people like Mark Levin very happy at all. So we'll see what happens. Is that the trade-off, though? Is that the trade-off for not pulling out of Lebanon? Israel's still saying they're committed to being in Lebanon. Vice President JD Vance, though, saying that, hey, look, things are starting to calm down. Yesterday on X, everybody, at least in my feed, a lot of accounts I've never heard of were saying that JD Vance was a total failure, a total embarrassment. And then when we finally got to hear from the vice president, as well as the Iranians, it looks like they do have some sort of framework to move forward with an agreement, which I think is why now Iran has this certificate to say, hey, you can now trade oil. Are we a step closer to peace? Apparently it looks that way. But I think over the next 60 days, there are going to be people that want war, do anything. They're going to do everything they can to make sure we get back to the status quo and get back to bombing Iran. I'm not for that. And the polls show the American people are not for that. We're going to talk about it. Got my co-host Rob Spencer with me. The show starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas here on LFA TV, as well as the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page. As of 3:04 Central Time, oil is now at $74.30 a barrel. Rob Spencer, thanks for being with me.
We just want that to go on down there. Just keep on going.
Keep on going.
Now, I learned from Landman that we needed around the $67, $68 a barrel, I believe, somewhere around in there. And that means gas is cheap enough where people are driving, without having to really think so much about, like, do I drive from here to there, or do I feed my children? I mean, that's where it was getting there for a while. So I think we're going to talk about this over the next 2 hours here, but the frustrating thing for us is as the American people, that we're suffering the consequences for something that's happening thousands and thousands of miles away. We're suffering those consequences. And even if voter ID would go into play, which it's not. I mean, let's just be honest, it's not. I like the idea of attaching the Save America Act to everything, meaning you're not going to be able to pass anything unless this is attached to it. But even if we had that, if we're riding high inflation, high gas prices, higher unemployment rates into the midterms, the Republicans it's going to be a blue wave, or at least a blue trimmer. What did they call it?
A trickle. I think.
Trickle, yes, a blue trickle, which is horrifying to me because we saw what they did the last time they went into office here. So anyway, I'm looking forward to. I know we've got a ton of things to talk about today, so hopefully we can get through there. And you've got to be getting tired now.
I'm
Paul.
a little bit. I mean, I can power through.
You're a talker. You're just,
But we are going to talk again. We're going to get this update from JD Vance and get the fallout because it's really interesting now. I mean, we have accounts now that are so upset with the status quo, apparent status quo today. They're now saying Donald Trump hates Jews. So it's just really incredible how so many people were a huge fan of President Trump, but now that he's trying to get out of this conflict, it's like attack full steam ahead.
What are you talking about? Hates Jews? I mean, I listened. I think I was listening. Sometimes, folks, I'm a little bit. I don't know what you want to call this, but I will listen to replays of our podcast while I'm mowing my yards. And I'll just kind of critique us, and I'll be like, oh, gosh, Rob, you were rambling at that point, which I'm sure there's people in our comments be like, yep, Rob, you do go on some rambles there. But anyway, so I was listening to it, and I was talking about how we all know that Ivanka has always been the apple of Trump's eye. And so therefore his son-in-law, Kushner, I mean, he's always just had high praise for Jared Kushner. And so who is Jewish, and his wife has converted to Jewish, like his daughter has converted to Judaism. And so you're just like, wait a minute, Why do you think he hates them? I think he pulled America into a war to protect Israel, And so I will not get behind that narrative. I think he's doing what he was hired to do by the American people, and he's serving the American people.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we've got so many tabs here. I mean, more than I don't even know if we can get through. And I do have some Tulsi Gabbard updates, because she sat down and gave an interview as well, like post-exit, that I think is really good and we need to listen to. But here's JD Vance earlier today saying yesterday in Switzerland was actually a very, very good day.
So look, yesterday was a very, very good day. We made a lot of good progress. We did exactly what we wanted to do, which is accomplish 4 things for the American people. First, we wanted to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. It is open. We've seen, of course, gas prices and oil prices come down, millions and millions of barrels of crude and natural gas flowing through the Strait of Hormuz that weren't flowing before. But we also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can make sure we work through them rather than that leading to escalation, and that is exactly what we did yesterday. Number 2, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism, for deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. As the President of the United States has himself said, sometimes these ceasefires just mean you're shooting a little bit less, but we wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies and everybody else. We set that up as well. Number 3, and this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans, the Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks. And that leads me to the final thing that we wanted to accomplish, which is actually set up the process for the technical negotiations that will follow. Our teams working with the Iranians, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock, and then those technical negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come. We wanted to set up a structure for that so that you could have proper political oversight, but obviously, as much as this place is very beautiful, I can't stay here for the next 60 days. I'm about to go back home to the United States, but the technical teams are going to be working with proper oversight to make sure that we're accomplishing the objectives that matter for everybody. So those are the things that we wanted to accomplish. We came here, we did exactly that. The way that I think about it is very simple. We laid a very good foundation for a successful final deal. The final deal is the house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get to a good place for the American people. I think it's important for all of us to appreciate how much was done, but honestly, there is still a lot to do as we continue to make progress on the nuclear talks, on the economic talks, as we continue to demine the straits and ensure that that flow of traffic continues to pick back up. A lot of progress, but still some work to do, and we're very committed to doing exactly that.
Again, so that's one thing I left out. Iran has agreed to, invite nuclear inspectors into their, into their country and that sort of thing. And you kind of wonder if that was one of the give and takes. Nuclear inspectors can come in. Oh, and here's your license to sell oil on the open market. Obviously, China's got to be ecstatic because China buys a lot of its oil from Iran. So if they were still getting it, they now don't have to hide it. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. And then before I'll throw it to you, Rob, one more. You mentioned Jared Kushner earlier. One more clip from JD Vance about what's going to happen with this money that's going to be going to Iran.
Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear, there are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal that's great for our people, great for the people of Iran, and fundamentally, again, will contribute to this regional security architecture that we've built and that we're going to work very hard to ensure that it endures.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love that last part for sure. Jared Kushner coming up with that clever idea there, that because reiteration here is needed. This is not American funds that they are potentially unfreezing here. This is the Gulf Coast Coalition, right? The GCC.
Right. Well, and these funds used to belong to Iran at some point.
Right.
Or they wouldn't be frozen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's, because they were obviously using their money to fund terrorist organizations and terror cells and all of that stuff, rather than can you just be a country and just try to interact with have your religion, do what you got to do. But if your religion is saying, let's blow everybody up, there's a certain level of just craziness. It's kind of like, the folks who... the Scientology folks, I don't want to step on some toes here, but, some pretty crazy stuff that they believe.
How dare you speak that way about Tom Cruise?
Oh, my gosh.
How dare you? Who do you think you are?
Listen, I'm going to get a call if he ever gets a clip of this and be like, I heard what you said. I've heard him. He will call people out.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
well, he allegedly tried to sue Matt Stone and Trey Parker back in the day for his out of the closet episode. Out
of the closet thing. And there was a whole thing about how they wanted to say, well, he's gay, but Comedy Central wouldn't let him. And they're like, so what if he was literally in the closet and he wouldn't come out of it?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so that's how that came.
But I do have to say, I love Tom Cruise movies, in particular the Mission Impossible series. I'm a huge fan.
Well, and I'll say this: he was on the over medication of children.
Before anybody.
Long time ago.
Telling what's that NBC guy's name?
Back in Matt Lauer.
Yeah. You don't understand the history of psychology. Yeah, he was right about that. That we're basically drugging our kids.
Yeah, walking around like zombies. Yeah. Some of these kids, just because they're hyperactive. Now, some kids you can see some true ADHD. And it's pretty noticeable when you see it. So some kids need the medication, but some are just they're just rambunctious little kids here, and their parents can't handle it, so they're medicating them. But anyway, didn't want to go off on all these side tangents, but leave it to Trump through Kushner here to find a way to say, hey, yeah, we'll give you your money back if you'll buy American soy, wheat, all of these farm products here from the United States, because I don't know, are they growing that in Iran? I don't think you can. I mean, I've never been to Iran, but I just feel like it's a desert. That's all that's there.
You kind of feel like that. I have no idea either, because we don't hear a lot of stuff. All we hear is they're irrationally evil, and
I know that she's got a lot of painful memories of it, but our friend
Annie Cyrus.
Yeah, Annie, if she
might know. It's a huge country the size of Western Europe, so surely there's fertile land somewhere.
Sure.
But I don't know.
But I love it. I love the fact that they're thinking of the United States, and if they're, especially with our farmers, because we know that they're in a crisis situation. There's so many small farmers that are out of business right now that had to sell to these big, huge conglomerates. And let's just be honest, folks, that no matter what the industry is, if the little men, the small business owner is having to sell out to the big box store, or worse yet, close down simply because they can't compete. When has that ever really worked out to our advantage, folks? Now, I get it. Sometimes hey, this toy store and this hardware store and all of that stuff closed down, and you can just get all that same stuff at Walmart for cheaper. But you ever buy Walmart tools versus some good American tools. I don't want to say a specific brand name because people. Okay, guys in the comments here. Let me just say this. Tell people what kind of power drills you think are the best. You say that in any comment thread, and you're going to get guys just in there like, "Oh, you're crazy. No, I had 3 of those drills and they were terrible and blah 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 and all this stuff." And so it's interesting. You try not to bring up specific ones, but somebody in the comments. Sorry, my brain. I guess I'm like shiny object today. Do you remember when Tom Cruise was in Tropic Thunder?
Yes, he was basically a caricature of Harvey Weinstein.
Yes. And when he goes to cussing into that phone, I mean every dirty word you've ever heard comes out of his mouth there. Tom Cruise is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, so, you could make the argument that Tropic Thunder was, the zenith of American comedy, and it all went downhill from there when they couldn't make anything funny anymore. Robert Downey Jr. in blackface, you
never go full retard.
Yeah, for 400 years, our people. What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
and then the movie within the movie there, Simple Jack.
Yes.
And he's like, well, just something happened to my career. And he's like, yeah, you just never go full retard.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so it's so funny. He was like Forrest Gump, a little slow, not retarded.
See, our comments are blowing up.
Won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded.
Oh, see, look at this. Our comments are like Bosch, Milwaukee, Snap-on, Mac Tools. Like everybody's got an opinion about these things. So I will say this. I have switched as much stuff as I can to steel.
Yeah. Good stuff. Great weed eaters.
It's expensive, but it's like, man, I bought these DeWalt weed eaters, and I bought one and it broke. So I stupidly bought another one because I already had I had so many batteries for them. And it broke. DeWalt customer service is the most ridiculous thing in the world because you're talking to Habib over here in Pakistan. There's you can't get an American on the phone here for DeWalt.
How do you like your drill? Do you like your drill?
I can help you. So thank you for asking.
What's your name? My name is George.
Yeah, it's George. I'm sure it is George. But anyway, with steel, like I go up to Ace Hardware and, it's a little bit more expensive than Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, but you go up to Ace Hardware, you just walk in, you're just like, hey, I've got a problem with it. All right, let me take it here. And he takes it back there and fixes it right then.
Wow.
There's a dude that'll fix it right there.
Well, I was wondering why. I think you've left one of your drill drivers here at the
DeWalt
studio,
one?
And it's a DeWalt. Now I know why. I've always been like, why does he just have drills in his truck?
It's a $150 drill. I'm hoping somebody will steal it.
And he's left this thing. I was like, I guess he doesn't need it. He just left it up to the studio one of the days we were hanging something.
Yeah. So, but we could go on and on about all this stuff. But
so here's the deal: a lot of people. This is Donald Trump Jr. about JD Vance's very good day yesterday. A lot of the people who were pushing lies and propaganda about the talks failing yesterday look really stupid now. So Donald Trump Jr. saying this now. There's an attempt. Okay, this is how crazy the pro-war crowd is, or how strategic they are. I don't know.
Okay.
Now they're calling this the Vance's deal. They're trying to somehow separate. They want to criticize the deal, but they don't want to directly go after Trump. So they're criticizing Vance, trying to get us to pretend like, oh, I don't know, Vance is not doing this on behalf of the president he works for. So it's pretty insane strategy. But that's what they're trying to do right now, the pro-war crowd.
So obviously JD Vance is an elected person because he is elected as the vice president, but almost every other person in that cabinet serves at what? The pleasure of the president. Mm-hmm. Okay, if any person is naive and stupid and TDS enough in their brain that they don't believe Donald Trump is in charge, You're insane. Now, could he be influenced? He's a human being that can be influenced.
Right.
We've talked about how we felt like maybe Bibi Netanyahu was selling Trump a bill of goods about how bad things were or something like that. I don't know. I'm not over in there. I'm just hearing reports, reading reports, and sort of putting two and two together. But I can say this. If you don't think that Donald Trump is in charge, you are insane. Your TDS is so bad, or your your pro-war movement is so strong that you've got to have somebody to blame.
Well, and in fairness, like, to send it back the other way, obviously when President Trump when we went into this war and everything else, you know, there are obviously people on the right that were like, I don't think Trump's in control and everything else, and so, you know, when you don't get what you want, right? When you don't get the policy that you want, it's an easy argument to make. You know what I mean? But there is still that question, right? I mean, you had over the weekend JD Vance going on Ally Beth Stuckey's show, talking about. Matter of fact, we've got so much to get to. So I'm going to let this do. So here's Mark Levin. Mm-hmm. So Vance says that instead of Israel responding with force in Lebanon, they should respond with conversation. Stresses that Israel has a right to self-defense, but doesn't want the conflict to spiral out of control. Okay, that's a reasonable statement. Mark Levin. Israel will do what it needs to do without unaligned advice from JD. I've got so many things from Levin on this.
I'm getting where okay, so I want to give one caveat to this. Not a caveat. I want to give one justification to say that 75, 80%, maybe even more of that of what Mark Levin says I agree with. I'm going to agree with Mark Levin far more than I'm ever going to agree with a Gavin Newsom type person, right? But my God, man, I understand your Jewish faith and your religion, but if you cannot set that aside and look at things objectively, then you need to sit one out. Now, he's entitled to his opinion, and he's got a much bigger soapbox than you or I have.
Yep, I mean, he's going to be on the radio here in just a little bit.
Right, and he's got does he still have that Fox show? We talk about it all the time.
Nobody watches that one.
Why in the world are they still doing that?
I don't know.
But anyway, he's just... He's constantly mad. You want to talk about what Rob's mad about? I'm not mad about anything right now. Get me talking about trans stuff, and I'll just lose my mind. But anyway.
This is the type of stuff that I was seeing yesterday. U.S.-Iran peace talks fail. This is from the Skin Doctor. Never heard of him. He popped up in my feed. The U.S. delegation led by JD Vance entering the meeting arena first. This was strange because the party that claims to have the upper hand typically arrives last. You had these all day yesterday. And so the peace talks failed, and then we had another. Then I got the complete opposite information. A diplomat attending the talks in Switzerland claims the Iranian delegation hasn't left, and that's what JD confirmed. That after everybody was told, "Hey, the talks have failed," JD Vance said, "Actually, we kept on talking for 9 hours." Okay, so Alex Brusewitz says bots, influencers, and pundits are in lockstep pushing a coordinated lie, claiming that Vice President Vance and the U.S. delegation were snubbed in Switzerland. This is pure BS. The op is so obvious. And here it is. I mean, you just look at all of these. I don't know if you can read all of these, but let's see. Look how these a-holes treat JD. The Qatar dude totally disses him. Then another guy named Jake Hilton. While JD Vance is busy getting embarrassed in Switzerland, Ahmad Taja says this was humiliation. Let's see. We have something called Mossad commentary. Qatar's prime minister publicly snubbed VP Vance. Then we have Eaton Fitchenberger. Look how Qatar's prime minister totally snubs and embarrasses Vance. Then somebody named Neo. I can't believe Vice President JD Vance of the United States of America is getting humiliated like this. Embarrassing. Jamie Meltzel. Watching JD Vance humiliate himself at our nation is deeply troubling. And then Stella Escobedo. Whoa, the Qataris snubbed Vance. It was everywhere yesterday, and it just seems coordinated. I mean,
yeah.
And even Donald Trump Jr. is saying it was coordinated. His opinion is it was.
So I'm going to ask for something from our chat. Now our chat sometimes goes off the rails and just starts talking about random stuff,
Well, they're a community.
They're a community.
They've got other
I love
business.
them.
Sometimes they vote to, open new business, which means kind of ignoring what we're. Maybe that just is a critique on us.
They're pretty much on point with us today. But I'm just saying that so I was going to toss a topic to them and see if they will sort of answer some stuff in our chat. So tell us how you feel about this memorandum of understanding versus the likelihood of us having a successful peace deal signed in 60 days. And so to simplify it, do you believe that based off of the memorandum of understanding and how this has gone so far with Switzerland and all of that stuff, blocking out all the media lies, that we are going to have a peace deal signed in 60 days that actually brings peace, whether it be short-term, long-term, or whatever? I want to see your comments here in the chat, and I will read some of them on the...
Okay, cool. I don't know what that
on the air.
Do you hear that in your ears?
I don't know. I hear it in my ears.
Sounds like Morse code. I don't know if it's coming through. If you guys have
Is it an alien?
I don't know. It's like we have a sudden grounding error all of a sudden, but I don't know where it's coming from, so maybe it'll go away. Richard Barris says to this poll here.
Bad mood is brutal.
He's the conflict with, what did he say?
Goes, wait, Paul and Rob are actually still talking?
The conflict with Iran, this is a CBS News poll, YouGov. What should the U.S. do now? 78% say end the conflict now. And then we have a Washington Examiner. They've got this poll. 8 in 10 Americans say the U.S. should end the conflict now, according to the poll. And this account called the Hormuz Letter, talking about the reconstruction plan or a petrochemical exports. I'm not really sure about that, but this is what I'm talking about with reaction. Okay,
yeah.
So on Allie Beth Stuckey's show, he said we covered this on Friday, but I want you to listen to this because this guy who's on Fox all the time, stumping for more war in the Middle East, is named Benjamin Domenech. Okay, and this was last week before the Switzerland talks. They were really upset. JD Vance gets pushback and says, "Hey." Allie Beth Stuckey says, "Hey, there are some people on the right who are going into full anti-Semitism. So what do you do with that?" And listen to this answer. Now, keep in mind, somebody named Batya Ungar Sargon says a major silver lining of this difficult week has been the total unmasking of the vice president. Benjamin Domenech says Israel derangement syndrome with the vice president. So those are their reactions to this, and you tell me which one is more reasonable.
And so I do think that sometimes, advocates of Israel or pro-Israel people in the United States make two critical mistakes. One, on the one hand, is not delineating between America's interests and Israeli interests, because they're not always the same. But the second is always conflating criticism of a particular government with Jew hatred. Because if everything is Jew hatred, then nothing is Jew hatred. I actually think Jew hatred is very bad, which is why I think we have to be very careful about not calling it's kind of like how progressives for 20 years called everything racist. And if everything's racism, nothing is racism. And we have to be very careful not to, in order to serve a certain foreign policy objective, try to criticize somebody as anti-Semitic when they're just not.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. And I think that distinction is important. However, from my vantage point, it seems to me like the bigger problem is I don't know exactly how I would describe it in a way that would be charitable, but almost like Israel derangement syndrome, going beyond, okay, yeah, we don't like Israeli policies. We don't think that we should put the priorities of any country first. Completely agree with that. That's fine. But the obsession that some people have, I would say on the right, with blaming all of their problems on Israel, all of their disagreements with Trump on some secret Israeli influence. And I'm not saying all of those people hate every Jewish person, but it seems to get there really fast. I see that more prominently on the right than I see true Israel first kind of obsession that you seem to be describing.
So I see both, and I think both are bad. And I'm probably particularly sensitive to the first thing because of the last 2 days I've been defending the president's decision to end the Iran deal. And I find often the arguments are, well, Israel doesn't think this is good, therefore it's bad. And my reaction is, Israel's opinions matter, but fundamentally they are separate. But you're right. I mean, there are certainly people who take every frustration with the Trump administration, every policy disagreement becomes because of Israel, and that is absolutely wrong. And again, I think that is one of those things that can bleed into some very dark places.
Yeah.
So I think that it's upon us as leaders, as public commentators, to just try to be very rational about this, to try to distinguish what is legitimate disagreement from ethnic hatred, and you just got to be careful about it. But I actually think both the Trump administration, but the right generally is in a place of figuring this stuff out.
To figure this stuff out. So just like when Trump criticized Israel, you can do that without, hating an entire race of people. JD Vance essentially saying the same thing, a very balanced, very rational, acknowledging deficiencies on both sides, and yet this is how it's perceived by pro-war, pro-Israel people. He's taking his mask off. We really see him for who he is. It's just absolutely crazy.
Well, so here's some of the thoughts on our comments. They have told us that they cannot hear what we hear. So
cool.
When it comes in, so don't worry about it. Excuse me. Bad Moon, Iran cannot be trusted. Trump needs to just turn it all over to the UN and EU. Hold on. John Yarder, terrorists can't be trusted. There's only one way to deal with Iran, and that is to Hiroshima the area. Done is done.
Now, who said that one?
So that's John Yarder.
Okay, well, Yarder, comments. There are, just so you know, like 7 million Christians that live in Iran. So,
yeah, we don't. I don't know if he's a Christian or not, but I understand what John's sentiment is here.
I can easily see why you. I understand people's reaction to say that. Because you think, the whole country is evil, but the whole country is not full of evil people. Yeah. Okay, it's full of Christians too.
Right. Renee 756. Iran can't be trusted. Honestly, I want the conflict ended and to focus more on the United States. That's what we've been screaming here. Old Dog 1959. Actually, you can count on Iran to do the evil/wrong thing 100% of the time. And just a couple more here, if you'll stand with me. I scroll through some of the comments else that aren't about that, but so the word tells us we will hear peace, peace, then sudden destruction. I don't trust Iran. That was from Smarvel, S. Marvel. So
as a Bible verse, he's quoting.
Oh,
that's like eschatological.
The word. Okay, yeah, the biblical word. Okay. Crying Chuck 321. If you keep bombing Iran, you might hit somebody else. Cough. Accident. Not sure there. Bad Moon again. He's a Bad Moon. Please don't ever leave our chat. We love you. And there's so many great ones in here. So Iran declared war on America back in 1979. Trump is the first president to end their war for them when all the other presidents were cowards. That's true. I mean, how many red lines did Barack Obama cross for really any Middle Eastern leader here that was, Assad, all of these people that were just really terrorists, and just he draw these red lines, they would cross them, and nothing would happen,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I know Barack Obama dropped a lot of missiles. Like, people forget how many missiles he dropped.
Yeah, the drone president.
Yeah, I mean, he was sort of famous for that. But I can say this: it's like, what good did you do? Like, what did you actually stop? Trump came in, and I think that a lot of these countries are afraid of him.
Yeah, I see one comment here. Trinka9 says it's the Iranian leaders, not the people. 97 million people. That's the idea of when you say just nuke the whole country, you're talking about losing any sort of moral high ground that the United States may have is now gone. I think forever. And again, the Christians there that are there in many cases underground, a lot of them in that country.
Yeah.
And those are the cards. The Strait of Hormuz is a card. Our military is a card. Our nuclear arsenal is a card. But there's some cards that are not playable in this situation. Now it's the rag. It's a Washington Post, but they're reporting U.S. intelligence agencies have warned Trump, the administration, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is likely to take steps that will undermine President Trump's efforts to reach a lasting peace deal in Iran. Here's President Trump in the Axios interview talking about how he's lost respect for some people. Listen.
Everybody's richer. Now, would you rather have that or be like some stupid people? I'd be honest with you. I lost respect for some people because
Who'd you lose respect?
I don't want to mention the names.
Oh, you can.
But hardliners. Oh, you got to take them out yet.
Well, what are you going to
Let me tell you. And
one?
plus, I'm not looking to kill people. I have everybody.
There you go. Plus, I'm not looking to kill people. Now, here's the other. Okay, so now we have another clip here. I'm sorry, I want to try to get through these. We have so many. So, more on JD Vance from this conservative, conservative millennial, Allie Beth Stuckey's podcast. Well, I guess this is the same clip. Is this the same clip we just played?
And so I do think that sometimes, advocates of Israel or pro-Israel people in the United States make two critical mistakes.
So they assume that our agendas are the same. And so the response to that clip is, this is what, again, you just heard the full clip a minute ago. This is what losing the American right sounds like. JD Vance on the Iran deal. Israel's opinion matter, but fundamentally they are separate.
I mean, Israel is not the only one that's not the only country that would be affected by Iran having a nuclear weapon. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, it is not that there is this immediate feeling that they're going to use it. Some people believe that they're just going to immediately start using nuclear weapons if they get them. But I'll say this: there's no guarantee of it, but you'll never know because they will have the capability of it. And so what would they do? They would. The Strait of Hormuz is whatever they say it is at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, Israel has nuclear weapons, but they're not using it to control the Strait of Hormuz. And Hezbollah, all of these terrorist organizations, they're not afraid of Israel using a nuclear weapon. So I really don't. I brought that up last week, but I thought about it after the show, and I thought, well, you know what? If Israel is the only one in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons and everybody keeps attacking Israel, then they were really convinced that Israel's not going to use them. And if that's what they truly believe, then they're not showing any sort of respect for that. Conversely, I think Israel believes fully that Iran would use it, or at least the threat would constantly be there of nuclear war, and that they would cause this mass chaos. So that is not just a threat to Israel. That's what JD Vance is trying to say here. He's like, yes, their opinion on this deal matters. It matters, but it's not. They have separate goals from us.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to say is, because there was what has there been? There's been a lot of frustration over the last few months here that Donald Trump is just doing Bibi Netanyahu's bidding, right? That Bibi Netanyahu's gotten in his ear and he's controlling Trump. He's using Trump to get accomplished. And I think that, the administration has heard that. I think that a lot of that's where J.D. Vance is coming from, but I also think he's telling the truth, And then what's this, Eli Kowaz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some Hebrew
I'm
name.
assuming he's Jewish?
Yes. I
Yes.
think that's a safe assumption.
Yes. So, again, can we hear from a non-Jew about how terrible?
Whoa.
I don't need to hear. Listen, I get it. If you're a Jewish person here, you're going to believe that Israel is infallible. That's what you believe, okay? Or at least on certain levels, that might be what you believe. And I'm not sitting here and saying that you're wrong on all accounts just because you're Jewish. I'm just trying to say, is it possible that you have a jaded perspective or at least a skewed perspective?
According to Mark Levin, this is really interesting to me. So on the way home Friday, normally on Fridays, I turn off all political radio and I turn it on to XM satellite radio, 40s Junction. And I listen to 19.
I love 40s Junction.
You like it too?
That is one of my favorite channels.
It's because your brain's not being rotted from
yeah.
the inside. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, I can listen to some music and I don't have to worry about like some sort of satanic messaging like coming across.
Tell you this, Paul, whenever I'm having like a very stressful crash and I've got to go, I will come in. My wife is just incredible about like if I need to decompress a little bit because I'm always finishing up 15 phone calls on my drive home.
Yep.
And I will come in, and if I immediately take a right and go into our bedroom, close the door, she will not let the kids come down the hall and say anything to me. Just she's like, we want the best version of Dad.
Yep.
We want the best version of Dad. If you'll give Dad 15 minutes, he'll be out here, and it'll be a much more pleasant thing. But I found myself just getting a really gripey phone call right before I walked in, and I would snap at my kids a little bit about something, and I'm like, good grief, man. Just because kids are kids, they're going to bum. Dad, you won't believe this.
Right,
It's a little overwhelming, It's like, just give me a minute. I will go into the bedroom, and I will just lay out on the bed, and I will listen to 40s Junction or that type of music.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Classic jazz.
I do the same thing. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Give me some Frank Sinatra. Give me some Louis Armstrong.
They also have some of the weirdest songs, too, that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
What is this? It's like there's one song about we're making concrete. You put the gravel in, and it's like, what in the world? They wrote songs about,
back then,
I want to have a popsicle. Well, you're going to have some popsicle sticks.
Well, here's the thing. They probably were sitting around with like, all right, George, we've run out of material. What can we write about? And George's kid's over there on the side. He's eating a popsicle. Yeah. Ooh, let's write about that popsicle. That's probably how I came up with it.
It's so great, though. So anyway, but on Friday, for whatever reason, I was like, I got to hear what Mark Levin's thing. So I left it on, and Mark Levin was really upset that there was an Israeli media source. There was an Israel news site that said that Benjamin Netanyahu was going to leverage his relationship with Mark Levin and other American influencers to communicate his displeasure with Trump's memorandum of understanding. And Mark Levin, and then seems like another publication, the Washington Examiner, picked that up and ran with it and reported on it. So he was attacking the Washington Examiner for reporting on what an Israeli media site had said about him. And he kept saying, it was the weirdest thing. He kept saying, I don't meet with the Israeli government. I don't meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. But so what if I did? But I haven't talked with Benjamin Netanyahu in a long time. But so what if I did? But so what if I did? And then the reason he was saying, but so what if I did, is because he then flew to Israel and went to a conference about, inspiring Jews internationally to stand up and fight.
His plane was already booked.
And I'm like, it all made sense to me this weekend. I had listened to that segment. I don't meet with Benjamin Netanyahu, but so what if I did, Mr. Producer? But so what if I did? And it's like, that's because
does he? So I haven't watched one of his shows in a while, but does he always talk about? Does he always talk to the producer?
He calls the producer Mr. Producer. Yes.
Mr. Producer.
Yeah. Pull that clip up,
Mr. Producer.
Mr. Producer. Anyway, so Matt Walsh on that clip says, imagine objecting to the Vice President of the United States pointing out that Israel is a separate country from the U.S. Also, the idea of this sentiment losing the American right is hilarious. Could not possibly be more out of touch. But then here is this guy. So this is another, I'm assuming, Jewish person. He calls himself a hummus eater, and he's got a Hebrew name there. Brandon Weaver, quote, JD Vance and Donald Trump hate Jews. Trump played us. He never loved us. He needed the campaign money from Miriam Adelson. You should be condemning Trump and JD Vance in the same breath. JD Vance works for Trump and speaks for Trump. So this is one instance where they're just coming right out and attacking Trump.
The bottom line, you got Tucker Carlson coming out and saying he's going to no longer support after 35 years. I didn't see that from him, but somebody
I just saw it too. I haven't
like
seen the audio
a tweet
clip.
of somebody else to do it.
Republican. He doesn't want to support Republican or Democrat because he thinks they've sold everybody out.
Yeah, and maybe on a lot of levels he's
right.
right.
On a general level, it's like, what is it? The middle class is like, help Democrat or help Republicans, and Republicans are like, no. Help Democrats, and Democrats are like, no. LGBTQIA plus.
Yes,
like that's we get no a lot from these people.
That's all they care about. Yeah, and so anyway, I think I just going back to one of our comments here, like just wrap this thing up and start focusing more on the United States. That's we've got people here, dude. I went and bought. So I made some cheese dip over the weekend. I made these. Steak quesadillas thing. So they were really good. I can't take credit because it's not my recipe, but I made them. So anyway, I made some cheese dip to go with it. And I went to buy a little 1 pound package, the 1 pound package. And it was, 80-20 ground beef. Because I like to do, I don't know how you make, but if you make like Rotel and then you put taco meat in it.
Oh, dude, this is amazing.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Anyway, so I did that, and that was $8. And I was like, that's here in Arkansas. I would imagine it's going to be a lot higher in some other states. And so 1 pound was $8. Now I remember you used to be able to get like the 3-pound package for less than $8. And so we've got to get beef prices down here. That's just one thing. We need these gas prices to continue to go down. If we can get down into the mid twos, low twos, I think most people, because if it's in the low twos here, it's probably mid twos, 275 in some other places like that. I think most people can handle that, for the most part, as long as the eggs aren't $10 a carton and gallon of milk. Remember when milk went up like crazy?
Well, and
for
that's
a while.
the problem is a lot of these prices have continued to go up, and are they going to go down? A lot of times they never come down. The prices once they raise, that's kind of where they're going to be.
So
at.
I control my mother's money. I make sure all of her bills are paid or whatever, and I give them
that's very good of you.
I pay them their own money, but I give them, like my mom and my sister, they live together, and just anyway, it's a long story, but so I do all of that stuff, and so I pay all of their bills, and then I give them the rest of their money in 4 weekly things for the month, and that way they're good to go. So my mom is pretty severely disabled and all of that stuff. So anywho, I say all that to say, when I give them that, they go to the one trip to the grocery store, and it's just gone. Like, it's so gone. I'm blessed that I go to the grocery store, and I don't think a whole heck of a lot about the prices, but I sure did this weekend over on the meat, because it made me think about my mom and them. Like, they're just, I pay my mom's phone bill. It's not out of her money. I give them, I bought them a car. I bought them a house, all of those things. So anyway, I'm not trying to say I'm great or whatever, but I'm not like letting my mom go hungry.
No, right.
Just giving her a little bit.
But you do have a process
But she's got a budget. She's got a budget, and it's tough, man. It's really tough on these people. And so I know I keep harping on this, but Trump, we've got to get Trump to be focused on these domestic issues. Let's bring these prices down here in the United States, get inflation down, get this economy booming, and then have some sort of chance of not letting the Democrats, at least, I think they're going to take the House, but hopefully we can at least hold on to the Senate.
Yeah, so just a few more of these comments. Somebody named Max Abrams, Vance ruined the Trump presidency. Matthew Feinberg, F. Vance. This was all weekend. Here's an Israeli MP from Netanyahu's party. He speaks this in Hebrew, I think. Takes off the red hat. Yeah, so I don't know what that says, but he's clearly throwing away a MAGA hat in defiance of Trump. And again, all of this is because of trying to get the bloodshed to stop. And you kind of understand now that the goal was always, no, we don't want Iran to be a sovereign country or anything. And they wanted another Iraq. They wanted an Iraq where you try to partition the country into multiple different countries, and you have we know what would happen: sectarian civil war, totally destabilizing everything.
Yeah, and I agree with John Yarder on this. In our comments, zero money to any country for any reason. They have never helped us. And I think about this, like, what did we have? One in 5 children. Now, this is an old stat, but I can't imagine that it's any better, Paul. 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry here in the United States. Okay? And I'm sure that some of them are illegal citizens, or legal immigrants here and not citizens. But there are tons of American children who are going to bed hungry tonight. Millions of American children going to bed hungry tonight. And we're shipping billions of dollars to foreign countries so that they can have humanitarian aid. What the heck are we doing here?
Yeah.
I would listen. If stuff goes to a kid, I'm good with whatever we've got to spend. If it's going to go to a kid, I'm good with it. To a certain level. I mean, you've got to monitor it because we see all this fraud going on.
Yeah.
And you've got don't get me started on these videos of these, just really fat, large, massively or obese, disgusting-looking women with their video here, like, just got my food stamp haul, and she's pulling out all of the most unhealthy food that you can ever imagine, and she's showing it, and it's just like, yep, I get $1,600 a month in food stamps, and we can't even get through all this food, and I'm just like, what? And my mom, I'm having to subsidize her money monthly because she can't afford food, but yet these people are, so there's problems with it. But the overall sentiment is, if we've got these problems here in the United States, why are we sending this money in the foreign countries?
Yeah.
And if you're so liberals, if you are so inclined that you just really have to help, you got to help this person, you got to help Ukraine, you got to help them, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, all this stuff. Like if that's where you're wanting to do, then let us investigate the fraud domestically. Let us investigate, get rid of all this, what I think, and Elon Musk thinks, is as much as $1 trillion per year in fraud.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to say you want to send some money to foreign countries? Let us investigate the fraud, balance the budget here in the United States, and I'm willing to have those conversations about foreign aid, right? Those who have should give. But we don't have. We're borrowing money we don't have to give it to other places. What the hell sense does that make? It'll never make any sense to me. And we keep doing it. We've been doing it for, 40, 50 years? We've been maybe since...
Well, and what we found is this foreign aid is just an avenue for corruption. That's all it is. It's a way to undermine the United States of America and our own people, and because that's how it's been used. Okay, I want to get this into. So here's a guy, by the former Israeli spokesperson. He's also head of a big think tank about Iran named Ben Sabti, and he's also a media commentator around the Israeli circuit. And he tweeted this and then altered the tweet. It was in response to a guy by the name of Jason Brodsky. The U.S. is going to regret acquiescing to Iranian demands to include Lebanon in this memorandum of understanding. The linkage is one of the biggest mistakes. And to win this guy, this kind of professional commentator, also a former official, I think, of some kind. Maybe USA needs another Pearl Harbor or 9/11 to remember who the enemy and who the friend is. Now, he then apparently altered the tweet, or took it down rather. But this is kind of like, wait a second, yeah. We're supposed to be allies here,
yeah.
And this shows that, at least in the mind of one person, we have a disagreement, and now you're wishing a terrorist attack that killed 3,000 Americans. And I don't know how many people died in Pearl Harbor. I should know. But thousands, I'm sure, were killed there.
Do you remember how you felt on September 11th?
Yeah.
2001?
I was scared.
Yeah.
I was in high school, and I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen next.
I think I remember, I was, I'm a few years older than you, Paul. And so I was my early 20s when it happened. And I remember having just a dark, scared feeling for my home country, because all of those bombings and terrorist things that we saw on the news always happened. Every time you'd see this on CNN, because CNN was big back in the day.
Yep.
Every time you'd see this on CNN, it was always happening in some foreign country. And it happened here on our homeland. And so I remember the fallout from it, but then I also remember the rise in patriotism that occurred after. But I still would not want that ever again. And I understand probably what his point is there, but it's just a really vulgar way to make your point.
And it's hard not to. I'm sorry. I mean, if anybody out there reads something like that and feels threatened, I don't think that's unreasonable to say, oh, okay, what is that, a threat? I mean,
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, you need thousands of people to be killed and murdered, and just this attack. I mean, they didn't just attack. They didn't fly them just into the World Trade Centers, or remember heading toward D.C. there, right?
Yep.
We made it all the way to the Pentagon, and so all of this stuff. I do believe in a lot of ways the Americans have forgotten, more specifically some of those people in New York. We were talking about this off air. But to say that we need another one to remember that who the terrorists are, we have a damn good idea of who the terrorists are, Paul. We know. We're just not willing to send our sons and daughters over there at this point because we've talked about it. Those are your two options. Mm-hmm. You either blow Iran off of the face of the planet, okay, and what you mentioned earlier, killing 7 million Christians in the meantime. So we either blow them off the face of the planet, or we send ground troops in there. Those are the only two ways. I mean, you can try a drone war and all of that stuff, but it's always going to have limited results.
And the strait stays closed.
And the strait stays closed, and the world's economy is just held because oil is what makes the world turn. We all know that. And so those are your options. I'm not good with either option here. I understand the sentiment of wanting to blow Iran off the map. I do not believe that Muslims, at least devout Muslims, certainly jihadists, have any sort of value at all to the world. They're a destruction to the world. I would say the only value that they do have is just a reminder of what evil looks like, in certain respects. But anyway, I'm rambling. I will say this, just kind of to wrap it up. I don't want to send ground troops in there. I don't want to blow a country off the face of the planet. And other than those two options, you really just have to negotiate a peace deal.
And that's what's going on.
And if Israel is going to stand in the way of that, then that means that they're trying to go bad. They're trying to go for option one, and that's to get rid of Iran. Now, if you believe all the, I'm just going to keep talking, Paul. Sorry. If you believe all the reports and all of that stuff, then if Israel's version of what's happening there, then you say, okay, we're tired of you attacking us. We're tired of all of this stuff. We're tired of it. We've got a chance. We're seizing this opportunity for regime change. And this peace deal does not call for regime change, which is why I believe Israel is against it. They want total. They would love to see what we did in Iraq, and go in there to try to, create some sort of democracy and all of that stuff. And we'll see. We saw how that turned out.
Yep.
So I'm not down with that. But anyway, I'm over this war. I want it to be over.
All right, let's take a quick break and reset here, and hopefully we'll find something else to talk about. I do want to kind of continue our conversation. I want you to see some of these videos of these Europeans reacting, Rob, to the greatness of this country, because it really was fascinating and gave me a lot of hope. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or Red 5 works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
This is our family dog, Bubba. He is a Shorty Jack Russell, and he brings a lot of love and laughter into our home. We just want to thank Pet Club for making healthy food and treats for our animals. Bubba has been on Pet Club food for a little over a year now. He really likes the Sequoia dry food, and then I put a scoop of the Sequoia wet dog food in there with some hot water and stir it up, and he absolutely loves it. And he likes the mush puppies, but his ultimate favorite is the antlers. Those keep him busy for a really long time, and he really likes them. It makes us feel really good that the food and treats that we give him have healthy ingredients in them because we want him to be around for a really long time. Our previous dog was a lab, and his name was Titus, and we fed him in bulk, and we would just get his food from the big box grocery stores. And unfortunately, that food wasn't very healthy for him, and he ended up getting cancer and passing away. So we didn't want to make that mistake with Bubba. So we were really fortunate to find Pet Club and find some really healthy food for him to eat. So we would just like to thank Pet Club, and we just really appreciate the healthy food that they make so we can keep this guy around as long as we can.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, broadcasting from the great state of Arkansas. All right, we're going to get into Tulsi Gabbard. Sorry about this. We're going to get into this Tulsi Gabbard thing. Did a little bit of that the Europeans experience in America. But one more clip, because I wanted to get, I haven't talked to the Luca Brasi, I haven't talked about the Luca Brasi of politics in a long time. Luca Brasi, of course, you know who Luca Brasi is. Yeah. So the Luca Brasi of politics is obviously Chris Christie, but minus the loyalty. Maybe he's loyal to somebody, but it's not the American family. Here is
hold up, just a second. Let me say this. I think you're besmirching Luca Brasi.
You think I'm besmirching him?
Yeah, because
look,
Chris
they
Christie
look
is
identical.
Yeah, but Chris Christie. I mean, I'm just saying, like Luca was a very dangerous, scary man.
That's true.
Very scary.
May your first child be a masculine.
A masculine child. And so, do you know that the Luca was over there sitting and practicing his lines because he was actually a real gangster. By the way.
He was a real gangster. Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
So the mob had a lot to do with what was done during The Godfather.
I saw a movie about that.
Yeah,
about getting it made. They had to approve a lot of it.
So Luca was put in the movie to monitor the situation, honestly. And so the whole part where he's practicing what he's going to say to the Godfather.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was literally doing that in real life.
He was literally practicing that, and so they had filmed it. So they added a line in there. Why is that man talking to himself? And that's how that whole thing started. So anyway,
come to you on the day of your daughter's wedding. Anyway, Luca Brasi of politics, Chris Christie.
Put all this in context, right?
It's not.
I give the president all the credit in the world for the June bombing of the nuclear sites. But now we get to February. He tells us this is about regime change, unconditional surrender, eliminate the nuclear threat, and eliminate their missile capability. That's what he tells us. He then does 5 weeks of war, less than what the Pentagon wanted him to do, and then he stops. And he stops and fills the air with a whole bunch of empty threats about when he's going to restart. Then he gets to the point where the Iranians have him in a corner because of the economic calamity that's caused by something that apparently his geniuses in his national security team didn't anticipate, that they would close the Strait of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. How they didn't anticipate that, John, I don't know. So now he has to make a deal because he feels the economy in the United States crumbling beneath him. And what's he do? He gives them the option of opening or closing the Strait of Hormuz based upon their interpretation of whether
they have to work it out with Oman.
Right. Us and Israel are complying. Us and Israel, not a party to the agreement. He gives them a $300 billion bribe offer. He unfreezes all of their assets. He gives them their oil profits back, which is $35 to $50 billion a year. On top of it, he doesn't prevent them from charging service fees to go through the strait, which JP Morgan says could be $60 to $90 billion a year. And now to end where you started, he hands over the negotiations to a naive and inexperienced vice president and 2 other guys who would be better buying you an office building in Alexandria than negotiating this. And let me say this, he's gone from America first to Iran first.
Luca Brasi, everybody.
Iran first.
Luca
Shut
Brasi.
up, you fat
slob. Well, look, that's what he calls him. Alex Brucewitz calls him a fat slob.
Whatever. Yeah.
Can you believe that? Can you believe somebody called Chris Christie a fat slob?
Listen, I'll say this: what a fall from grace, man. You know, he was part of Trump's transition team in 2016, his first one, and did an incredible job from all accounts. You know.
Well, and he was. It's really funny when you think about it because you could make a political argument that Chris Christie's run for New Jersey governor and then his attempted, run at the White House was foreshadowing of Trump. Here's a guy from the Northeast. Here's a guy who, at least at first, was known for his "I'm going to be tough." I'm going to, and then of course, then he had that whole bridge scandal. But then he was now he's a never Trumper.
Do you remember the video of him when he was running? This was when he was running in 2016, and he
was walking. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's a clip going around of Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks, sorry, they're just called the Chicks now.
Right.
We can't be racist here.
Got to
with
get
the
the stars and bars
Dixiecrats.
down with it.
So anyway. She's singing and it's a live performance, and of course, if you've not seen Natalie Maines,
I have not.
She's also not missed any chicken.
Okay. She's not running anywhere.
She's eating all the fried chicken. Okay. And so they've got that song. I'm ready to run. I'm ready. Oh, I'm ready to run. And she's singing that part, and of course, everybody's like, "Nope, you're not." You might be running to the buffet line. You ain't running for your health.
Oh,
and
bless her heart, as we say down here.
Oh, bless her. This is what we say in the South. Oh, she's as fat as a house. Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's this beta video of this fat tub, and he is giving with like a town hall style campaign stop, and I don't know what. Honestly, I bet you could find it, but it is the lamest thing in the world because he's trying to convince a voter of something, and he gets down on one knee as a promise.
Oh, yes,
it was the most. Yeah. It was the most cringe. Like I thought, man, it wasn't even me, Paul, and I felt like my testosterone dropped 20 points at that point. Just watching it. I was like, this is a Republican? What in the world? This is just ridiculous. And he's so unhealthy. It's kind of it would be impossible, in my opinion, to take a guy like that seriously. And in fact, I mean, we've not had this since there was the president that got stuck in the tub. Well, who was it?
Was that Taft?
Or it was Taft.
A portly man?
Oh, he was very portly. Yeah, this guy he wouldn't get in a tub. I bet if you put like gets down on. Anyway, it's just so lame. So I don't want to take people like him. Who was the Secretary of State under Trump 1.0? What was his name? He was thinking
Mike Pompeo.
Pompeo, thank you. Pompeo, like just going full anti-Trump, all of that stuff. You've got Mitt Romneys of the world. These people. You are not the Republican Party anymore, Chris. You're not the Republican Party, and you need to get over it. And I think that they just don't realize that the show is over for them, because JD Vance is a well-spoken, sophisticated Trump, and he's right behind him. Marco Rubio, same thing. It's just so you found this clip?
I think I did. Let's see if this is it.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
He wasn't as fat back then.
All right, you haven't decided yet. Here we go.
And I really like you. And this is the painting point.
What do I need to do?
Explain your Social Security.
You want me to explain the Social Security plan?
I'm 53 years old, and I'm very nervous about.
Yeah, this
the
one.
Wrong video.
This is not the one.
My husband works.
because he's trying, you know, that he's being tender at this moment, like he's trying to get down there on her level and all that stuff.
Let's see if he gets back up. Hang on. Hang on. Whoa,
This is
man.
an
I mean,
answer on the
I'm
debate.
sorry. That is like
That's a huge fat.
That's like an axe handle wide, man.
Do you imagine?
That is
Listen,
that's how we, that's
Can you-
that is an
Yeah.
axe handle. That's a southern
Yeah.
measurement.
think about think about this, Paul. Can you imagine how much he has to spend on toilet paper?
All right, here's the thing. Let me tell you about Social Security. Social Security.
All right, he
if we
did
do
it.
nothing
He got it.
different,
That wasn't
will
too
be
bad.
insolvent.
Man, if he ever lost weight, his calf muscles would be like would be substantial. All right, so we don't really have it. We don't actually.
Yeah, we can't. It was a big build up to nothing.
Sorry, I
guys.
can't find. I'm not going to spend any more time on it.
It could be there one day. We'll find it.
yeah.
Anyway, so
All right, so let's go to Tulsi Gabbard. She went on, I think it was Megyn Kelly's show. So you've now got JD Vance going on Megyn Kelly's show recently. JD Vance took criticism for that.
Yep.
People hated that, and now Tulsi Gabbard.
listen, I'm going to tell you something. I got a crush on Tulsi, and here's why I got a crush on her. You know, she's an attractive woman, I think, but also she is so bad that it's like I'm drawn to women like that. I'm happily married. I'm not trying to say this, but you know, not trying to say it like that. But what I'm trying to say is, we've got to have more women like her in the Republican Party. These strong, well-spoken, well-thought-out, intelligent women who have an agenda here. She's been trying to crush the deep state long before she was ever in Trump's cabinet. She has been trying to expose it. And she had this agenda. Unfortunately, with this health issue with her husband, she couldn't continue it. I pray that the next DNI comes in with every bit of fire and fury as Tulsi Gabbard. This is, again, just to reiterate, a huge loss.
We got a few, and Rick Crawford agreed. So we have a few clips. This one is a poignant one, talking about how the intelligence was fabricated, getting us into Iraq.
Way back to why this organization was founded.
My wife does not. I've been accused of saying, "Oh, dude, just realized his wifey might be watching the show." I'm like, my wife does not watch the show. She hates politics.
All right, so don't clip it up.
Way back to why this organization was founded. When you look at the so-called intelligence that really was used to spur the Iraq regime change war. And look at what that has cost our country in lives, in treasure. Look at what it's cost the world. Look at what Iraq is today, now essentially a proxy of Iran. When Iraq, that would not have happened had that regime change war not occurred.
That's right.
So again, this is really what is at the heart of what needs to be addressed within the intelligence community, and why leadership matters so much.
Just as a reminder to our audience, you were a young 21-year-old state assembly person in Hawaii, and 2 years after that, you signed up, you enlisted in the National Guard, and you were deployed to Iraq. Yeah. So you know firsthand about the blood and treasure.
And I served in a medical unit, and it was with a unit out of Hawaii, infantry brigade combat team. And my first task every single day was to go through a list of all of those who had been casualties the day before, those who were injured. I was the first one notified when there was someone who was killed in action, and ultimately to make sure that those who were injured either got the medical care they needed, that they were evacuated as quickly as possible, and then making sure that they were getting that care.
So yeah, I've made this observation last week, but it seems like the pro-war crowd, they only want people in office who've been in war if they thought it was a fantastic experience and want to do it again, want to send others to do it again.
Yeah.
If you're like her, who's in war, and it's like, I don't recommend it in terms of whether it's we don't have moral clarity or the just war theory or whatever. We don't want to listen to her voice. There's that allergy they have to it.
She's so, the people were bringing up some of the stuff, that she still serves in the reserves, that all of that stuff, and she's, a surfer, and she's just very athletic and all of that stuff. She's what a woman, is a strong woman is supposed to look like. And, she's she's telling you, she's given firsthand experience. I'm going through a list of everybody who died the day before. I'm going through this list here of these massive injuries that we've got to get care for and all of this stuff. And it's like, you can't forget that side of war.
Yep.
It's so dirty.
Yeah, so she gets back after seeing all of the people maimed, and she's like, what do we do that for exactly?
Why? Because they were weapons of mass destruction. He had them, but then they were never found.
And I look forward to more of her interviews, by the way, giving us context about what she saw in there.
But the thing that we just announced today, in fact, was the closure of this Office of Human Capital, completely different part of the organization, and one that sounds like, okay, well, maybe this is like talent management. You're trying to go out and see, well, where's the best talent and where are the gaps we need to fill, which is what I thought. But it turns out that it was an office where the previous administration kind of hid a bunch of their DEI people, knowing that this action was going to be taken by President Trump. And there was a slush fund there that they would use to fund people millions of dollars to go to DEI conferences and talk to other DEI people. And so we shut that down at a savings of $150 million today. But the thing that I think a lot of people would be surprised by, when people talk about DEI and you hear, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, they talk about DEI and they criticize the president for his action and the actions that we are all taking to get rid of this, claiming that we're against diversity and all of this other crap. When I came in here, I was able to talk.
I love it. And all this other crap,
150 million intelligence slush fund for the woke sex religion.
Yeah.
And then here's one about the NSA. Listen to this one.
Well, wasn't there a group, which intel agency was it that had the people talking about transgender surgeries and non-binary this and
there's the National Security Agency.
Yeah, there's sex
the
groups,
NSA.
Polyamory.
Yeah.
I mean, on and on.
This is a great example.
Okay.
So there was someone who snuck into that chat that was not an employee there, and they screenshotted what they saw and leaked it out on X. And again, this is a chat group that was created and administered by the NSA, one of the premier intelligence collection entities that we have. And it was obscene. It was obscene. Yes, it was about all of those things. It was talking about sex toys and sex tricks for people who had gone through some kind of transgender surgery or
during the workday.
This is during the workday on an intelligence hosted work chat group, and the supervisors, obviously, as soon as I found out about it, I said, anybody who's involved with this is getting fired and getting their security clearance revoked, which there were some who was like, oh gosh, aren't you, like, that seems extreme. Like, no. Imagine you're in any office and you're having these kinds of sexually explicit conversations in the workplace. It is I don't care what your sexual orientation or whatever your private choices are. This cannot be happening in the workplace, and it must not be happening in our premier intelligence agency that has people who have the highest clearances that anyone can hold.
Wow. And I'm so this confirms my suspicion. When you think about the FBI, they've had decades in different administrations that overlapping ideals to basically recruit communists. And I can think of nothing more terrifying than the fact that those who are in charge of spying on Americans, that's what it is, and we're just told to trust them, that they've staffed them full of a bunch of woke trans people that hate Christians. Let's be honest, they hate Christians. And they are the ones privy of the information to spy on all of us. It confirms what I've already that Washington D.C. obviously you think Washington D.C. the offices of congressmen or maybe even the staff of certain select committees they're going to attract these types of people, but the intelligence community, you'd think they'd be like, no, we don't need people that are like that.
Are you trying to get me mad by bringing up the trans stuff?
I'm not trying to get you mad. We're about to get to a white pill, white pill.
Hold on, I will say this about Tulsi. There's a lot of comments in the chat there. Old Dog, who's great. We love you, Old Dog. But just a reminder, she ran as a Democrat in 2020 for president. She single-handedly ended Kamala Harris's campaign in 2020. Now, Kamala would have ended it herself, but I mean, she was just out before the first primary, really, or shortly after the first primary. But Tulsi was a Democrat in 2020. Now, she was not what you would call an establishment Democrat, and she did once she was out, she supported Bernie. But her book, she wrote a book called For Love of Country, and she reads it. If you're an audiobook person, she reads it. She's incredible. She goes through her whole life story, and she tells about joining the military and all that stuff. And one of the things that she talked about that radicalized her, that made her, so she was Democrat, then she became an independent, and then became a Republican. So she has come full circle in 6 years, and it started with the coordinated takedown. Well, first of all, when Hillary Clinton started attacking her.
As a Russian agent.
Yes, as a Russian agent and all of that stuff.
Which Laura Loomer is still attacking Tulsi Gabbard as a Russian agent today, basically.
I agree. I like Laura Loomer on a lot of stuff, but, man, she is wild and crazy and out there on some stuff. Like, I think, oh, man, this woman's got some screws loose or something. I don't know. But regardless, Tulsi talks about it in her book, and she saw this coordinated takedown of a former president, but also the leading candidate for the next presidential election. And she just within just a couple of years, she had come full circle. And she talked about it when she had the podcast for a while. And I think she'll go back to podcasting. That'll probably be what she does to kind of pay the bills, and all of that stuff. But anyway, don't judge 2020 Kamala Harris, 2016 Kamala Harris, 2016, 2020 Tulsi Gabbard. Don't judge that. Trey Gowdy, a lot of people don't really care for Trey Gowdy, but I love his book. And he talks about Tulsi being one of the only people who were Democrats. She represented Hawaii, Democrats when she was in Congress, that he could actually negotiate and work with. Mm-hmm. And she convinced him of some stuff. He convinced her of some stuff, and they would vote with each other a lot. He said she was extremely reasonable, all of that. So it's not a surprise that she has turned Republican. She woke up. She saw what so many people saw. And I also want to reiterate, if you don't like Tulsi because she used to hate Trump and all of that stuff, JD Vance.
Yeah, I mean,
think about his evolution.
Yeah, people can admit that they made mistakes.
Correct.
X Machine writing. Let's see here. Socialism cheats in their elections, which is exactly what Tulsi exposed in Georgia. She physically went there and saw the ballots. And he just said exactly what you said, Rob. Vance said similar things in 2016.
Okay. Yep.
So people are definitely onto it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next and everything she's going to divulge. We still haven't. That's the one thing she didn't release by the 19th. Her last day was Friday, and she didn't release the voting fraud report that apparently has been prepared. The foreign interference report that's apparently been prepared since June. Will Bill Pulte release it now?
Well, I
don't know.
I wonder if there's a strategy to that.
I think there is a strategy with
because I think Trump of all people would want that out there.
So hope so.
And if Trump knows about it, and that again the DNI serves at the pleasure of the president, like you would assume that if he wanted it out there, it's going to be out there. But I'm wondering if they're going to try to backpack it and be like, okay, maybe now this is the backing from this behind this executive order.
Yeah, we've
and
talked
maybe
about
Trump
that.
does that. And an executive order is going to get challenged. It needs to be a law that's passed about the voting rights thing, or the voter ID. But anyway.
So Europeans have discovered that America is not what I didn't
This
even
has been
realize.
incredible.
I didn't even realize. I mean, you assume that the liberal media or the media is going to lie to them, but I didn't realize that they lied to Europeans about us the way that they're saying that we did. So that's kind of been an eye opener to me. But people have absolutely. I've got several of these TikToks.
Yeah, let's watch some.
They are absolutely loving this country, and I actually think there's going to be a lot of them that want to move here when they go back home and they realize they live in communist countries now. There's going to be a lot of Western European people that want to move to America.
You know what? And I'll take them. If they're falling in love with America and the American way, I would take them as immigrants.
Yeah, and I would agree with that generally. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you mentioned Ellis Island earlier.
Yes,
and this whole idea to assimilate, and obviously when we're talking about from the third world, any sort of assimilation is the exception to the rule at this point. I mean, that's just self-evident at this point. But with the Ellis Allen thing, these are all people from Western Europe that had already sort of figured out how to get along. I mean, they had already fought wars with each other in Europe for, hundreds of years, if not more. So it's like, it's not really, it wasn't that big. This idea that, Ellis Island means we're a melting pot. Not really.
Not really.
we not like they're trying to say what melting pot is now. It's not the same thing. But so they would be welcome here because they value, I think, just basic Western civilization ideas already. So here's just a few of these clips.
Actually, just had the best restaurant experience that we'll probably ever have in our lives.
Keep that in mind. The best restaurant experience that we've had in our entire lives. So what's the restaurant? What do you think? It's like a Ruth's Chris, or what do you
Something
think
super
it is?
fancy.
Something super fancy.
It's not to be dramatic. Let me see. Put your wipers on.
Yeah.
Liberty Restaurant, Scottsboro, Alabama.
I love it.
Has to be the best restaurant and diner experience you could ever get. And I feel like I was going to say in the South or like in Alabama, but I feel like in the whole of the USA and the world.
She's
oh
not
my gosh.
exaggerating. She's
No.
not even exaggerating.
No. So we went in and the people working there were nothing but kind and lovely and welcoming, like straight over to us with a big smile, and like that southern drawl. Like the lady was calling me baby, and I was like, oh my gosh. And they were really, really friendly serving us, and then we were ordered desserts and we were talking about the desserts, and then the lady, we got none of their names either, which I feel terrible about, but the lady was like, oh, this is another dish that I would love you to try. So she gave us a free dessert. We tried that there. It was amazing. And then one of the other ladies working there came over, gave us a souvenir, which was a fridge magnet for free. And then she took our YouTube name, our Instagram name, and was like, oh, I'm going to tell everyone else here about you. And then they gave us a marker and was like, can y'all please like write on our wall, like we get people who aren't from town to write on the wall about their experience. And we were like, yeah, of course we can. At this stage, Scott and I were like, oh, we need to leave like a massive tip, like really, really pay them for their service and their kindness. And then when we were leaving, Scott was like, okay, can we pay now? And the man was like, no. I'm pretty sure he was the owner. He was like, no, I've taken care of your ticket. I've covered it, and yous aren't paying. And we were like, no, please. Like,
And my jaw dropped. I was like, no, that's too nice. Like, it's too much.
Literally, we were like, please. Like, we don't even have cash to leave a tip. We were like, please. And he was like, no, like, it's covered. It was just insane.
That's so great. I don't know if you've got this one pulled, but the guy that goes to Texas Roadhouse.
Oh,
and he's like, I walked in and they gave us these chips, or what do they give? They give popcorn, not popcorn.
They give you peanuts and
that's
rolls.
Peanuts and rolls. So they give him these peanuts, and he's like, all we wanted, and then they brought us over the rolls, and they said, I'm sorry, I didn't order any rolls. He's like, oh, they're free. They're free, and if when you run out of those, we'll bring you some more. He's like, and they were the best rolls I've ever had, and I thought, man, we get so spoiled here in the United States because we just don't. Now, I'm sure that there's amazing food when you travel the world, like these unique dishes and all of this stuff. But, the guy was like, he said, also, people back home, they're going to say, yeah, but you had to tip. And he's like, no. We got to tip. We were able to. We wanted to tip. Like it was so phenomenal. Like we wanted to tip them, and so many people. We saw the Chick-fil-A people that were just like in heaven because they're. And of course, Chick-fil-A is incredible. I don't know what they that secret. It's the Lord's chicken.
Yeah.
The secret there.
With about 1,000 ingredients.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Let's watch another one.
Here we go.
I feel like I've been lied to my entire life about America. Like, I'm in Florida. This beach is insane. Like, just as good as Australian beaches. But if you log onto the news, everything's bad. Everyone's got blue hair. Everything's terrible. It's not. It's absolutely fucking amazing. Are you kidding me? I feel like
Okay, that's just one. Then we got this one.
Europeans are now seeing this in the US, the patriotism. They're even flying the eagles around the stadiums, and honestly, I don't think the Europeans can actually comprehend.
Yeah, they can't even comprehend what they're witnessing.
What's going on? This doesn't happen in European countries. This doesn't happen in the UK. How cool is that? Even just an eagle flying around a stadium.
The showmanship that Americans put on is out of this world. Like when me and Shana went to our first ever college football game, one of the teams had a dog running around. One of the teams had a dog running around. Every time.
So I think these are Europeans that already live.
Oh
in
yeah,
America.
they already live. Yeah. So
then we have. Hang on one second. I didn't. We got. Here's a montage real quick, and then I want to get to this last one.
Can't take my eyes off of you.
That guy eats a beef rib. The Buc-ee's, the Bass Pro,
the ranch,
the roads, the highways, milk. They just can't comprehend it, Rob. And the apparently, some posts said that the Germans stood at the meat section and just had to process the fact that we have access to every cut of meat, basically, that you can imagine.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's just the lies of Sky News. It's the lies of the BBC. When you're painting a picture of what the United States is, the only people that hate the United States are people who have never been here before, and the liberals that are living here currently. Those are the only ones that really hate us.
Yeah.
Because the blue-haired liberals hate America. And there was a video here, and it doesn't look like any of these thumbnails. There's a person that was saying, like, we were asking someone, like, why do so many people in the United States hate their own country? And this person was obviously a liberal. Of course, they didn't say that, but they're based off. But they're like, well, they started talking about oppression and privilege and all that stuff, and we're just like, what are you talking about, right? And that's exactly what we were seeing there, is that what we see as conservatives here, they're trying to destroy the country from within, and we have an amazing country with so many amazing things here. We talked about it earlier when we were filling in for Jeremy about the Scottish people drinking all the beer in Boston. How cool is that? They just came and they're just having the time of their life, and the Bostonians loving them, except unless you're trying to look for a beer and you're like, well, the Scots all drank it all, but it's just incredible. And sporting events, you've got a clip of that.
Yeah, let's do this. This is happening in all of the different stadiums.
Yeah.
I didn't know soccer was such a big deal. I mean, I knew the World Cup was a big deal, but I had no idea.
Worldwide it is.
I had no idea that it was so popular. It was going to mean just people are spending. How much money do you think these average Europeans are spending to be here for the next 60 days?
Oh gosh, I can't imagine.
And traveling around, and yet this is their holiday. This is their vacation. And they do it once every 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So I just think I didn't understand. I didn't realize it was so as big of a deal as it was.
Yeah.
But it's bringing people together in a it's something unique is happening. This is the last clip, and then I know you got to run, Rob.
How is a worldwide soccer tournament in the United States done more for foreign relations than the United Nations? I mean, watch it. They're dancing in the streets. They're singing Country Road by John Denver. They're playing bagpipes at Fenway. They're eating barbecue. They're going to the Grand Canyon. They're praising America. Unity. Community. We need to break bread at the same table without politics being somewhere in the middle. We need to embrace humanity when we can. We needed this.
I mean, the music makes it certainly melodramatic or whatever, but I on Friday night I was scrolling, Rob, and I was like, wow, this is so positive and uplifting, and I'm totally here for it. And who knows what's going to come as a result of this? That we're not who the media says we are.
Yeah.
And specifically with Western Europe, and they're going to go back home and realize that they're living in communist countries. It'd be like if the Soviets let their people visit us in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
So, two things there, Paul. It is the liberal media, right? And there's conservative media propaganda on the conservative side, as well. But the liberal media that wants to just destroy. And then the little thing called the algorithm.
Yeah.
I was watching a video, and it was a girl that was talking. She's like, I never really understood algorithm manipulation. I never understood it until we were at a national park, and me and my friend, we were at this national park, and we saw a black bear, which black bears are typically smaller. They're a lot smaller than grizzly bears and all of that stuff. Now they can get big, but most of the time a black bear is kind of small. We have a lot of black bears here in Arkansas. Well, anyway, she said, we saw this, and she's like, oh, my gosh, it's kind of a smaller one. Oh, I just want to go over there and hug it. I want to go. They're so cute and cuddly. I just want to hug it. And her friend was like, are you insane? No, like they will maul you to death. Like you will die, right? And she's like, I don't know, and she's the one who wanted to hug the bear, was the one telling the story. And she said, well, we left the park and we're just at home chilling. We were there chilling, and she was scrolling on her phone and I was scrolling on my phone, and we were in the same room. Her algorithm was showing her videos of bear attacks, people getting attacked and mauled by bears. Mine was showing me videos of people hugging a bear and all of that stuff, like pet bears and all of that. So the algorithm for each of their phones, even though they experienced the same thing because they had a different perspective and the phone was listening to them, is showing them what they wanted to see, what they believed. They were manipulating it to say, yes, you're right. And we see that a lot. Certainly in these deep, dark rabbit holes, how much algorithm manipulation has to happen for you to believe a man who puts on a dress is a woman?
Yes.
You have been manipulated by the algorithm if you believe a man who puts on a dress is a woman, or doesn't even put on a dress. He just says he's a woman. He's got a beard and male anatomy, and he says he's a woman. Something has happened here, and it's all in the name of algorithm and sales and knowing and manipulation and the media. The media is so guilty of it. With all of this stuff going on, the 250th anniversary, the World Cup, possible peace deal with Iran, all of this stuff, CNN, MSN now, all of these liberal rag stations are doing reports on the reflecting pool.
yeah, and all the algae.
And they're like taking water samples out of there, and you're like, we're on the verge of a peace deal to end this war. We're celebrating our 250th year. One of the coolest events just happened at the White House. And the World Cup, the United States, is being, infiltrated here with all of these fans from all over the world, and they're loving it. That's your story.
Yeah.
But we can't do that. We got to have something to punch at Trump with.
Trauma-based mind control.
It's ridiculous. And we've got to see it and call it out when we see it.
Man, I totally agree. Rob Spencer, I appreciate it, sir.
I'll be with you back tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll see you here tomorrow, and appreciate it.
All right.
Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break and kind of reset things here. Don't go anywhere. This is the Paul Harrell Program, broadcasting on LFA TV, as well as the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page. We'll see you in just a second.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
I had 5 units that I purchased for the practice right out of the chute. Well, those went the first week that I got back to Houston. So then we ordered another 5 and then another 5. And I think over the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we had ordered like 35 units. And they're gone. They're still gone out of the practice. So we're excited about moving more of these units for our patients because they need them. And so when you bring in new technology and your staff's thinking, oh, this is another thing that I need to handle during the day, I think it's a good idea to give them a little incentive. And I do it as a team. So if one person does well, the whole team does well. So they all support each other. And they got really excited about that. They love it. They'll bring a unit in, turn it on, put it on the patient's foot or leg, and they'll tell the patients, be sure to talk to Dr. Parker about red light therapy. And the patient will say, red light therapy, yeah, I've heard of that, And so I'll walk in and my nurse is she'll tell me, I've spoken to Mrs. Jones about this red light therapy, and she's really excited about it. So Red Vive has been fantastic for our bottom line.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago, he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier. And when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about, 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around, 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
Why is Red Vive different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with RedVive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas. So we've got to wrap things up here on the show. I want to talk a little bit about privacy. Hey, before I do, though, I'm going to take a moment, actually, to ask for your prayers. So I'm on a group text with my church, and with the men of my church, and one of our members is visiting his family down in Florida. And since arriving in Florida last Thursday, my friend's granddaughter has been at the hospital, at the pediatric hospital. We are baffled, he says. We're told it could be meningitis. Now we're told it doesn't seem to have any diagnosis at all. She remains hospitalized with more tests tomorrow. So my friend's name is Glenn. And so if the entire LFA audience, anybody listening to my voice right now, if you would do me a favor and you would pray, I don't know his granddaughter's name, but if you would just pray for Glenn's granddaughter in Florida, that the Lord would heal her, that the Lord would give the doctors all of the necessary information to know what's going on. I haven't shared with you I know this audience is powerful. Just in terms, I know prayer is powerful. I believe in the power of prayer. When I first came on this network in February, my Uncle Dave was very sick. You guys prayed for him, and he has an incredible story, and he has gotten so much better. And so I just got this text message while I was at break. So if you could just stop doing what you're doing, or if it comes to your mind later in the evening, I would really appreciate it if you could pray for my friend Glenn and his granddaughter who is sick with some undiagnosed illness. Anytime a child is sick, it's just gut-wrenching to think the worst. So please do that, and I would very, very much appreciate it, you guys. And I see the comments lighting up. That means a lot. So really do appreciate that. So right before we left, Rob was talking about the obsession with the obsession with the algae. Okay, so I just got an update. Just continue to pray. So here's this. Mike Nellis, who made this? I'm dying. So here we have cousin Eddie emptying his his RV feces into the reflecting pool because, of course, you and I both know that it was full. So, but let's talk about this. Just the News. Kevin Killow writes, headline, Judge blocks Trump administration's attempt to subpoena Governor Walz. An enforcement probe. That's actually not the headline that I wanted. I wanted this headline. From Lance Johnson of Natural News. The DOJ turned Google searches into a covert dragnet, and Fourth Amendment never got its day in court. Listen to this. A single Google search for a political party's street address became enough to land hundreds of Americans inside a federal investigation with no notice, no chance to object, and no recourse after the fact. Newly unsealed court records revealed that the Justice Department demanded Google identify 311 users who searched for the Republican National Committee and Democrat National Committee headquarters in Washington during the first 5 days of January 2021. The same week, pipe bombs were discovered outside both buildings on the eve of the Capitol riot. Google fought the warrant behind sealed doors and lost, not because the request was constitutional, but because the company allegedly had no standing to raise the Fourth Amendment challenge before the warrant was executed. The ruling creates a working template for future investigations. Ask a search engine to turn its own index against the people using it. Keep the request hidden under a non-disclosure order and win on a question of timing rather than the merits. So, just reinforcing that while everybody seems to try to debate FISA and FISA warrants, we have a surveillance state, and they can see all of this stuff anyway. The right people can, but can they get it admissible in court? That's when you need the warrant, at least. So there's that. But in other news, Wall Street Apes reports that a new audit reveals that flock safety cameras are being used as mass surveillance cameras by multiple agencies. The audit shows flock cameras in San Francisco are being accessed hundreds of times by out-of-state agencies and federal agencies. Stunning revelation from San Francisco's police chief, putting the spotlight on the city's license plate cameras. A recent audit uncovered activity that violates California law. The police chief said the city's license plate cameras were improperly accessed hundreds of times by Western State Information Network. That was done on behalf of federal and out-of-state law enforcement agencies, which include DEI, the ATF, as well as state agencies in Oregon and Washington. Now, on this one, I got a feeling that this is an attempt to arrest illegal aliens. And if that's the case, then, I mean, you know, maybe you shouldn't wire your entire, this is an instance of the surveillance state potentially working to our advantage. Now, I know that's a slippery slope, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, maybe don't. Why? See, they only want to use it when they want to prosecute, conservatives, I'm sure. So the San Francisco police chief is upset that the cameras were inappropriately accessed. So are they going to say, so it's DEA, ATF, San Francisco has more than 400 license plate reader cameras. For reference, the Western States Information Network is a regional intelligence sharing hub on behalf of federal agencies and out-of-state agencies for Oregon. Think about how much this is being abused nationwide. Think of how many states don't even restrict sharing the data. From what I could find, this is likely legal in as many as over 40 states. This is mass surveillance. But that's the thing. We've lost that battle. I mean, I hate to say this, and I don't want to renew FISA any more than you do. I don't. I mean, I want to reform or whatever, but at this point, if you just give a glance at what Edward Snowden revealed, what was that, in 2013? I mean, it was out of the bag then. It's been out of the bag even before that. I mean, we were just looking at the big stone feet of the surveillance statue. Like, that's what Edward Snowden uncovered. Like where you're just like, oh my goodness, look at this giant, and then you look up and you're like, oh yeah, this is a massive monument to our own slavery. And it's been constructed under our nose, and Edward Snowden just kind of like made us look up to see it. It hasn't gone away. There have been no reforms. If anything, obviously since 2012 it got worse because they weaponized it against us out in the open and nobody's been held accountable for it. They framed Donald Trump for treason. They did COVID. They did all of that stuff. So, I mean, that cat is out of the bag. Now, a lot of this surveillance state stuff, not to the capacity obviously we have now, but I got to thinking about it the other day. I think it basically started with the rise of the military-industrial complex in an effort to combat the Soviet Union. Soviet Union is such a threat. They don't care about privacy. And so in order for us as Americans to combat that and build up our forces to something comparable, they basically had to illegally spy on us back then. Again, not with the same technological ability they have now, but you can imagine that was their calculus. For national security reasons, we're gonna have the ability to spy. Now, is it admissible in court? Well, no, it's not. And so the whole FISA warrant aspect is just really a way to get what they already know, in my opinion. It's a way to get what they already have seen and make it legal to use against you in a court of law. That's all that it really is. And I guess it's either that or black bag somebody and just indefinitely detain them, which they can also do. But using the flock cameras to track license plates in San Francisco, that is a sanctuary city, no questions. No, are they using it in that capacity? I have no idea. But the mass deportations need to continue. That's for sure. Let's see here. What else do I have? Kind of sending things. Okay, so Mark Levin. Really mad. He's really upset that Iran is now going to sell their oil after they agreed to nuclear inspections. And again, we'll see where all this goes. But what's the price? What's the barrel of oil? What's the price of a barrel of oil right now? Let me go back here and look. Let's see here. $74.05 is where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. Mark Levin, though, upset about it. Iran can now sell oil. China buys more of Iran's oil than any country. Upwards of 90%, Mr. Producer. They'll be thrilled. What are the safeguards to prevent the Iranian regime from using the money to rebuild its war machine? I see none. Does that concern anybody? And please, don't blame Israel. We're doing this with our Qatari, and Pakistani friends. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I listen to Mark Levin far too much. I do it for you, though. I do it for you. I do it so you don't have to. That's the truth. I do it so you don't have to. More white pill stuff. Here is the Scottish trying to get Samuel Adams to wear a orange cone hat on his head. Look, the guy's even got a spotter. The guy's even got a spotter. I mean, they're hooligans, but they're more tame. They're not trying to tear the statue down. They're just trying to put a cone on top of it. That's not the end of the world. That's not the end of the world at all. I want to remind everybody that you can get 35% off those red light panels at redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. You can experience the healing power of red light, not just red light, but near infrared light, all in one panel, anti-aging properties. Also, it's going to increase your performance, men. And also, it's called photobiomodulation. You need to check it out. Go check out all the great research and the scientific benefits of red light therapy. And when you buy one of these powerful machines, I mean, it lights a room up like you wouldn't believe. People are going to think that you're running a brothel. And just let you know, that's how powerful the red light is. You turn this thing on, and people are going to be like, are you running a brothel in your house? Not that that's what you want, but it's great. It's got actual medical benefits. And so 35% off when you use promo code Paul, redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. That is all the time that I have for this edition of the show. Really do appreciate you being with us. We will see you back here tomorrow. I'll be here at 11 Central, 12 Eastern, filling in for Jeremy Harrell in Live from America TV. And thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.